It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Here's the next question. This is from Racosta. It says, I've heard you mention that luxury vehicles should not follow the 23-8 rule. For those of you that don't know, 23-8 is our rule on buying cars. We say you should put 20% down. You should not finance for any more than 3 years. And your total car payment cannot be more than 8% of your gross pay. And that's for buying normal automobiles. If you want to buy a luxury car, we say that you have to pay it off within 1 year. That's what Racosta is elaborating here. And this is what he says. And instead, it should be more aggressive and paid off within a year. Can you elaborate why? So here's his question. Luxury cars don't fall into 23-8. We say you got to pay off in a year. Why? Why is that our stance? Why do we say that?
Well, I look at cars as they're obviously very important. And that's transportation. I mean, unless you live above a bakery and you work in the bakery, you got to make sure you can get to your job. So cars are an important part. And I've shared with you guys, I love, there's other financial pundits out there that say, go get the fixer up or go get the jalopy that you spend $1,000 or $2,000 on. I'm always worried. I'm not the handiest person in the world. I'm always worried, is that car going to crank? Is it going to get me there? Now, my brother, my father, who were very mechanically inclined, who worked on cars.
Fix anything.
Yeah, I mean, they go out there with some chewing gum and a paper clip. No matter what's going on with the car, it's getting them there. Buying a fixer-upper or that jalopy car is probably okay, but for me, I needed reliable transportation. So that's why I came up with, and we were discussing it, 23-8, is because it does allows you to have a dependable transportation so you can get to your true way to create wealth, is to go make your money work by trading in a little bit of your time for money that you can eventually invest. And that's your wages and being consistent with that. So that's what 23-8 does. It allows you to get a reasonable car for a reasonable price, but not let your eyes get bigger than your actual wallet can afford or your purse can afford, where you're not actually investing. Because remember, a key component of that is you never want your car payment to exceed what your monthly investments are. That's because the driving factor to all this is how are you making your money work for you instead of with your back, your brains, and your hands. And I'm worried with a luxury car, because cars they depreciate so rapidly, Bo. I mean, very few things in life do you have to actually pay to maintain something. It depreciates automatically. Normally, I know a lot of you trolls are going to come in and be like, oh, cars are appreciating right now. Yeah, this is a moment in time. It will get back to normal. Cars depreciate. They really can hurt your financial well-being. I don't want you buying that flashy car that says, look at me. Meanwhile, you're not building the silent component that's in the background that actually is the peace of mind, which is wealth. You've got to do the automated wealth building. And that's what actually doing this will allow. So you can buy the Hondas, the Toyotas and things, but when you're trying to buy the BMWs and Mercedes, you should treat it same as cash. This should be a reward for a life well saved and lived, not something so that you can look good way ahead of time. And that's why I put that rule on there for luxury vehicles. It's because I don't want you faking it until you make it. I actually want you to start building that silent component, which is your wealth, which is your dollars that are invested. They need to be building so that if you see Brian driving a Tesla, Brian must have some bucks in the bank.
That's right.
It's not causing you to do this way ahead of schedule where you look wealthy. Meanwhile, you're rotting from the inside out because you never built any investments up.
And people will say, I see this in the comments, guys, it's simple mathematics. That doesn't make any sense. Of course I could pay it off, but why wouldn't I finance it? I'm going to argue that if you're in the position where financing that luxury car over 3 years versus paying it off in one is going to have a material and substantial impact in your financial life, you are not on as solid a foundational footing as you should be to be buying that luxury car. It's exactly what you said. And we do know, just like you said, luxury cars, especially if you're buying new luxury cars, they depreciate incredibly rapidly. So this prevents you from getting that situation where you're actually underwater on a car, even a luxury car, because they very well could depreciate more than 20% in that first year.
Well, I mean, and I don't have the stats right in front of me. We've covered it on so many shows. Maybe somebody can put it down in the comments. But a large number of cars, the reason balances are so high on what people are financing, they're financing it for now like 7 years or 6 or 7 years instead of the old 3, 4, or 5 like in years gone past, is because a lot of people are trading in cars with negative equity.
That's right.
That's what I'm trying to keep you from. Don't fake it until you make it. Actually create success for yourself financially, and then reward yourself with that vehicle that's going to depreciate rapidly after you got your other financial bases covered.
Love it. Love it. Love it.